Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network show. Our mission is to interview successful entrepreneurs who are willing to share with us their ideas and experiences, both the good ones and the not so good ones. Because as it has been jokingly said, you should learn from the mistakes of others because you'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. My name is Ike Engelbaum, and I'm the founder of the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan, which is a group of motivated people that are all interested in helping each other in achieving our personal and professional goals. We meet monthly, and anyone that's out there that wants to be an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur and wants to be a better entrepreneur, check out our website, entrepreneursnetworkofmichigan.com. And one of my joys is to attend various chamber meetings, because almost all Chamber of Commerce type meetings are there to help the respective business community in achieving more sales and more contacts. And you know, in sales and in entrepreneurship, there's the KILT formula, which KLT stands for know, like, and trust you. Very few people are going to be successful, in my opinion, not only in business, but even in life, unless they do have an attitude to help other people. I was really excited about going to the Orion Chamber of Commerce meeting, and actually met Sarah Slusher, who, guess what? As luck would have it, on the front cover of the January Entrepreneur magazine, Sarah Slusher, there's a strong resemblance, okay? Next is Entrepreneur magazine.
Maybe.
The truth of it is that you are indeed out there in the business community. You're a branch manager for Genisys, is a credit union bank. Is that how it's referred to?
Just credit union, yep.
Just
Genisys credit union.
Credit union. All right, question number one is, you hear about credit unions and banks. I think there's a bit of confusion as to what is the difference. Can you share that?
Yeah, credit unions are, the slogan used to be people helping people. So it's, there's less fees, there's lower, if there are fees, there are lower fees, better rates on better interest rates, and it's, I don't know how to explain it.
It's more business friendly, possibly, in the sense, as far as I know, the rates are lower and a lot of the loans, and I think they're more business friendly, in my opinion, than a regular bank, because banks have certain restrictions that a credit union does not. Is that correct?
Yep, some. The credit union, it doesn't matter the size of the business. We still offer the same services, and we'll offer, we won't turn down a loan just because of the dollar amount, or we wouldn't, you know, not want a membership because it's a small business. We accept businesses of all sizes.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the past, correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
but they used to have to be part of a group or what have you, and you just couldn't walk in as a business professional and open up a bank account at a credit union. Is that correct?
Correct. There's some sort of criteria to belong to a credit union, and there still is today. It's just Genisys Credit Union, our criteria is anyone who lives in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So we have a community charter, just not a business charter, where sometimes it's, you know, just specific businesses or certain groups, but ours has the community charter.
With a name like Genisys, I assume that you have Bibles all over the place, but you don't, right?
No, we don't, no.
And you were telling me before we got on the air that there is actually an interesting spin to why the credit union is named Genisys. Would you want to share that with us?
Yes, yes. We started as two stronger individual credit unions, TNC Federal Credit Union and USA Credit Union. TNC Federal Credit Union started with General Motors, so the truck and coach division of General Motors, and then USA started with Genisys, a computer company. So we took the Gen from General Motors and the Assist from Unisys and put it together to create Genisys.
Wow, and you created just like the Bible.
Yes, yes. A stronger credit, larger credit union.
I see. So you don't have to be religious necessarily.
No, no.
Right. I was joking with you before we got on the air that very few people are aware that in Genesis, the Bible,
Yes.
baseball is made reference to, because when you open up the first line of the Bible in Genesis, it says in the big inning. Okay, okay, we have to. But you don't play baseball there either.
No, no.
Tell me, how did you get involved with Genisys? You walked in, hey, this is a nice place to work. What happened?
Yeah. I started as a summer job, just applying for a summer job, and at that point I didn't realize I could belong to the credit union already, but I applied, and I started working there about 10 years ago as a summer job, and I realized it was a great place to have a career. There's a lot of great aspects to the company, and they really care about their members and their community. And so I started working there, and I became a branch manager in Rochester Hills, and then there was an opening at our Orion location, so in July I became the branch manager of our Orion branch. So.
Now, how does that work? Are you shuffled around quite a bit in the process, or is it fairly stable that if you start in one bank, you can stay there?
Usually it's pretty stable. The branch manager that was here before me, she was there 21 years at the location.
That's pretty stable.
Yeah, so she took a promotion to our corporate office, and it was a larger branch of the credit union, so I applied to go to the larger location. So it was my choice to go there. So.
Well, good for you. And as far as the number of how many branches are there at the Genisys?
We have 24 branches, and 21 of them are located in southeast Michigan.
And obviously, you can go to any Genisys bank, and they've got records, and all of them. So
yes, yep, we're all connected.
Right.
Yep.
What do you think as a career path is banking business a good career path for people who feel they want to be around money?
Well, it has been for me. I do find it to be, it's always interesting, it's always growing, there's always change, it's always challenging. There's so much that goes into it that I appreciate. It's never the same, it's never stagnant, it's always, growing and changing. So I think it's great, and I've had a lot of luck at the credit union. They're very good to us. So
now, as far as the qualifications, if someone is interested, I like to count money and look at money and be around money. They must have some more talents. What's really sort of the foundation of someone wanting to work in a bank?
It depends where, in the credit union, but a lot of our frontline staff start, like our teller positions start without any experience, but we do have, certain expectations of growth and stuff like that. So they would, I know for myself, to go into management, there's a degree that's needed, stuff like that.
Now, is there a set number of steps that if you join up with a bank that you have to go through in order to become a manager? Can you just come in, let's say, with an MBA, not really knowing banking at all, the teller routines? Can you become just a manager as such?
I guess it would depend on the the situation. We have had managers come in without starting in the teller aspect, but generally they do have some experience before starting right into management. But.
Now, are there people who that's all they ever wanted to be is a teller, and they don't want to have the rigmarole of managing other people? Did you make a life career just being a teller? Yeah,
we have a lot of staff at the credit union in the teller position, in the financial services, the loans that have been there 20 years plus, that they just have realized it's a great place to work, and so they stay there.
Now, as far as the types of business loans, can you share with us what can a business professional entrepreneur expect if he goes into a credit union? What can he get?
We have a couple different loan types. We have a line of credit, which will help with purchasing inventory, anything like that, the kind of gap in time between when you have to purchase it until you sell it, or if you have to purchase goods before completing a job. That's our line of credit. It just kind of covers that gap, and you can use the line of credit and then pay it back on monthly payments. Then we offer term loans, which would be if you want to purchase a vehicle or a piece of equipment or some sort of asset for the company, where it's based on a specific length of time, equal payments over a certain length of time. And we also do commercial mortgages, and we do our small business administration, which is for startup businesses. It's a lot of hard work to get that certification, but we're able to do those at Genisys.
Tell me a little more about that. Someone walks in, wants to go into business. I assume they have to have some sort of net worth before you talk to them seriously. Is that correct?
Well, we partner with a company called Michigan Business Connection out of Ann Arbor. And, we partner with them, and what we would do is we'd sit down and discuss. There's a lot more that goes into it, like if they want to come in and they can express why they have the, I can't think of the right word.
Why they have the talent or desire
to what their qualifications are to, for this startup business. And then we can look at the entire picture. That's really a big thing that we do, is we like to look at everything. So if, for example, a business plan is required, instead of saying, come back to us when you get a business plan, we would take the time and say, okay, this is what we need in a business plan. This is, kind of some instructional, and then we can give you like actual seminars to go to create the business plan, to make sure, everything's taken care of.
So someone walks in and says, hey, I got this idea of a new lamp, and I think it's going to revolutionize the lighting systems. They then have to bring in specific type of steps they're planning on making it happen. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I know of organizations like SCORE, which is actually a nonprofit organization. There's Michigan Business One Stop out of Lansing. Do you work with them as well to assist someone walking into the bank?
We partner with we would refer them to organizations such as that. Yeah.
Now, what's your experience been as far as from a practical standpoint as to what net worth someone should have? If they have the passion to start a business. How much of a base should they have before you want to stick your neck out and give them money?
Honestly, we handle that with our business lending department, so I don't handle a lot of those aspects of it.
Wow. Well, it sounds like Genisys can help start a business, even with very limited income. And if you have the genesis of getting businesses started.
That's right.
Okay, well, wonderful, Sarah. It's been a delight to have you on. You even have a biblical name, Sarah Genisys.
I do, yes.
Wow. And believe it or not, our time has run out.
Okay.
And right now, we're going to take a brief break, and we will be back with our next guest. Don't go away.
Our small business has been downtown 100 years, and we're really proud of how well it's doing in these hard economic times. But healthcare premiums have been rising. We were glad when the Affordable Care Act passed. We became eligible for a tax credit. We used that tax credit to hire a new employee. In our experience, the Affordable Care Act is a job creator. If you would like to know more about the Affordable Care Act for your business, go to knowyourcare.org.
And we're back, and with me is Mark Cory, who is a local franchisee of FRANNET. He's owned and operated the FRANNET Michigan office since 2002. And Mark brought over 20 years of business management experience with him. He is a certified public accountant. And I guess it was 22 years ago, Mark, that you decided that maybe I want to be in business for myself. Is that how the whole thing evolved? How did that work?
The idea probably started 22 years ago, but it was more like 11 years ago that I made the commitment to strike out and find a business of my own. And I looked at a lot of different options and ended up opening the first FRANNET office in Michigan in March of 2002. So I'm coming up on 11 years in this particular business.
Wow. So obviously you know a lot of stuff today that you didn't know then. Is that right?
Oh, definitely. I've learned a lot over the years, and I know a little bit about a whole lot of different franchises.
Well, that's great. Now, FRANNET has been around for...
Since 1987.
Oh, that's last century. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, they have how many branches again?
They have about 60 offices,
60
franchised offices throughout North America.
And if someone is an entrepreneur, I've heard various opinions about it. If you're an entrepreneur, you feel, hey, I want to be my own boss, and franchising is too structured. Do you feel comfortable in promoting franchising for even sort of the spirited soul of an entrepreneur?
I would certainly discuss the pros and cons with anybody, and I would caution people that are free spirits and maybe have a great business idea of their own and know every aspect of running that business to go ahead and do it independently. Why buy a franchise system if you feel you've got a better system yourself? But for most people that are looking to get into business, they don't have that next great idea. Or if they do, they don't have all of the tools and skills necessary to bring it to market and actually build a business around it. And that's where franchising can come in and give people like that the opportunity to get a business up and running fairly quickly and efficiently, utilizing somebody else's proven business system and getting the upfront training and the ongoing support they need to start and stay in business.
I just wondered if you could walk us through, let's say there's an entrepreneur out there that is not happy with what they're doing now, is not quite sure what they should be doing. Do you meet with people like that to give them an overview as to whether they should take a bite of the apple, so to speak?
Yes, occasionally I meet with people like that. Most of the people that I meet with and get started in the process are looking at their first business venture. But I have worked with a lot of individuals that do own or have owned businesses. Maybe they sold one and are looking for their next challenge, or maybe they want to add another product or service line to their existing business. Or they may have a family member that they want to get started in a separate business from the one they've created themselves. And that's where franchising can come in. So a lot of different options, a lot of different points of entry, depending on the individual circumstances.
I hate to sound like David Letterman because he's got his own show, but
not as popular as yours.
Right, obviously. Everybody knows that. I just wondered, as far as the top franchises available today, that you feel people that want to get into franchising, which fields should they consider, in your opinion?
It's all a matter of personal choice. It's important for people to really evaluate themselves before they even start to research businesses. So we encourage people to be very introspective and think about what kind of things they're good at. What are their transferable skills? How much time can they commit to a business or are willing to commit? What is a comfortable budget? What can they comfortably invest without getting too far out on a limb? And putting that all down on paper into what we call a business model, and then looking at a few good pre-screened options that match that model. That being said, people these days, in the last few years, have been veering toward franchises that require a lower investment. So we work with a lot of non-retail franchise companies that maybe have a total investment in, say, the $50,000 to $150,000 range. They're also looking at franchises that can be fairly recession resistant, that have the opportunity to thrive in all types of economic situations, because of course they're worried about the next economic downturn. So we help people identify those types of businesses and help them do the research to see if they make sense for them. You know, an example of a growing market that's driven by specific demographics would be the aging population. I mean, you and I are nowhere near that yet, but there are a lot of people in this country, maybe 7,000 to 10,000 every day, that are turning 65.
Right.
And people are living longer, they're staying in their homes longer, they still are consumers of products and services, maybe even more so. So franchise concepts that cater to those specific needs can do very well and be very good growth opportunities for the longer term.
Can you name a few that you represent?
Well, for instance, in-home senior care. One called Comfort Care that's headquartered right here in Metro Detroit. They provide primarily non-medical care for seniors to help them stay in their home longer. We work with another company called Handy Pro that specializes in home modifications for seniors to make their homes more accessible and comfortable for them. So those are some examples of products and services that cater to that specific demographic.
Backing up a step, someone comes to you and wants to get your assistance in getting them started. Can you walk us through what sort of an application or self-assessment procedure is there?
I'm glad you asked that question, because we happen to have our own proprietary online franchise assessment that helps give us a lot of good information and some insight into an individual's skills and preferences and work style and management style and personality and so forth, which is a very good starting point for beginning the consultative approach and sitting down with them and creating that business model that I referred to earlier. So we'll have people do that online, and it takes about 45 minutes to complete. It includes a personal financial statement where we ask them to give us rough estimates of their assets and liabilities, so together we can determine what might be within the realm of possibility, whether it even makes sense for them to get the process started in the first place, and what type of financing options might be available, and helping them set a comfortable budget going into the process.
And now, you told me that you've had people that wanted to get into it, into franchising, but based on your interview, you discouraged them from proceeding because you didn't feel there was a match. Is that right?
Right. And I'll be the first to tell them if I don't think franchising is a fit for them, or if maybe it's not the right time for them to get started. And that could be based on financial constraints, if they don't have enough capital to get a business up and running. It could be based on, again, their personality style, and if they are not the type of person that feels that they can follow someone else's system, then I would encourage them to, if they really want to get into business, start a business from scratch on their own. And there are others who, you know, maybe the timing isn't right and they just can't commit the time necessary to even do the research, let alone operate a business. Although there are a lot of good options for semi-absentee ownership. So people that do have day jobs that aren't comfortable making the jump 100% and want to keep their job while they build a business outside of their employment have some options for doing so. But those people need to understand that they will need to commit some time to the business, maybe 10 to 25 hours a week.
Now, in your opinion, is it practical for someone who really has got a full-time job and they want to try to fill in buying a franchise to be successful? How does that work?
If they choose the right franchise, and that's why I said that there are choices, they are somewhat limited, but it has to be a business model that allows for semi-absentee ownership. First of all, a lot of franchisors won't allow it. They want a full-time owner-operator, at least initially. But other models have been proven to be semi-absentee friendly. They tend to be fairly simple businesses with excellent systems in place and technology to allow the owner to work on the business and even do some oversight from afar. Maybe from their computer at their desk, at their day job, they can be monitoring what's going on at their retail location. So it definitely has to be the right one, and I encourage people to proceed with caution.
Now, have you had situations where people are all excited and what have you, and they're in it for about a year, and say, you know, this is not how it seemed like when I first started? Is there such a thing as an exit clause? How does that work?
There are different options if they really want to get out of the business. The best thing to do is sell it. And the franchisors will allow them to do that as long as they approve the new franchisee that they're selling it to. So they need to go through that same pre-screening and approval process with the franchisor. And I've helped some of my clients sell their businesses over the years. Sometimes they just walk away from the business, which is not the best approach, but circumstances may dictate it. Maybe health reasons, maybe one spouse has been transferred out of state and they need to relocate, and they just need to close it down. In some cases, a franchisor will take it over to keep it operating, especially in retail, because they'll want to preserve that location. But most franchisors are not too keen on owning franchise units themselves.
Sure.
So sometimes they just close down. It doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen.
Well, I mean, they still are financially obligated to fulfill whatever commitment they have. They can't just walk away, have a nice day.
For instance, if they have a retail lease, they'll be obligated to the landlord, and if the landlord can mitigate his damages by leasing to somebody else, then they will let the original tenant out of the lease, for example. Franchisors often have minimum royalty payments during the term of the agreement that they can hold franchisees to, even if they close down the business. But in my experiences, I've seen them come to a mutual understanding, and the franchisors don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Right, well, it's a reflection on them.
Oftentimes they'll allow them to walk away, as long as all of their past commitments are up to date.
So there is a way out, and obviously you want to stay in for as long as it's possible. You hate to be thinking about that going in, but we encourage our clients to look ahead to the exit strategy and see what the options are and consider the worst case scenario, so they go in with their eyes wide open. So it's still a great opportunity if you're an entrepreneur to go into franchising. Thanks, Mark. And I only have a few thoughts left, but my primary thought as I finish my program is that my favorite philosophy is that if you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And there is no excuse for not achieving your dreams and goals in America, because it's the greatest country in the whole world. Remember, a goal is just a dream with a deadline.